And we are back. See, podcast listeners, you thought there was going to be some crazy thing happen, but because Kevin is so magical, we're just back with part two. So the part of the East Coast has now been replaced with the West Coast and possibly the best coast. Devin, welcome, sir.
What up? What up?
And in addition, we have a surprise guest joining us from the Empire themselves. Nathan, how's it going, sir?
Oh, it is. It is going well. And you got the best coast, which I would recommend obviously is the best coast, the West Coast. But we're holding it down here in the central, the heartland, aren't we?
It's true. Nathan and I we're neighbors but because of states we live in, but not actually neighbors. so one of the things that I gave the folks an opportunity to do before we ended up last time is just say, hey, what's anything at the end of the conference you want to just say something on briefly? So I will give you both a chance, if you want to say anything about the first half of the conference. So up to the VR portion. So Uncharted, Days Gone, anything like that. So Devin, do you have any just brief thoughts on any of that first part of the conference we saw?
Yeah, Days Gone looks awesome. I'm really stoked to play that, to pick that one up and dive right into that. I really like just the look of the game. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like it's going to be very story driven, which has me very excited. Other than that, I mean, everything else, I mean, it's stuff we've pretty much already seen. So I was expecting some dates other than just, a nebulous year for the stuff. I was thinking we were actually going to get some dates. I was also expecting something to actually come in 2017. Other than like the indies and knack. I am excited about Matterfall though. That one,
yeah,
I will definitely be playing. But other than that, like it was just a rehash of things we already knew were coming. I mean, we got to see a more in-depth look at them, which was nice. But it would have been really nice to see some dates for some things.
Gotcha. Nathan, anything at the first half of the conference you were interested in?
So I'm a fan of the racing games, and at the pre-show they talked about Gran Turismo Sport, and I thought it looked good. I think they're making good strides in that direction. I will check it out eventually. I think there's still a little bit of work to be done on it, though, from the stream that I saw. And I think it's coming out this year. Am I correct?
It's slated for fall 17. I waxed poetic about whether that's actually going to happen or not in the first half.
Yeah, that's going to have to...
I'm going to have to tell you that it's going to come in the first half. It's going to come 2017. I played it. It was playable. It's ready to go. It's coming.
I don't know. From what I saw on the conference or the pre-show, I was just like, it looks good. It looks like they've made a lot of strides since the last Gran Turismo game that I played. But yeah, anyway. So the other thing that I thought was really nice or really cool that I want to talk about a little bit, and this is mainly because Donnie has reignited my love for the franchise, is Everybody's Golf. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't played it since like the PS2 era. Yeah, or I think it's PS2 era, maybe it was even PS1 era. But I enjoyed that game a lot when I was younger, and I'll give it a go again this go around, and it looks really good. Like the graphics look fun, and I think that it'll be a great addition to the franchise. And then the last thing I would mention from that opening half, God of War was that in the opening half?
It was not. We'll be talking about that soon.
Okay, so never mind. No, I will tell you another thing that I thought was cool. That opening band, the music at the beginning, that was really
Uncharted.
Cool. I thought it was, yeah. I didn't know if it was Uncharted, if it was Assassin's Creed, or what it was, but I knew it was just kind of like that Middle Eastern type music with the sitars and things like that. And I thought the water behind it was really cool. Their stage, they always do a really good job with their stage. It looks really immersive and big. I saw flames at one point. But I thought they did a good job with their stage presence.
Yeah, apparently in the audience, the presentation was quite spectacular just in general. Like it very much was similar to what they did last year, where it was a show. Like it was not just a press conference, it was a show. So jumping into kind of where we left off then, that was the VR portion. And surprisingly, I think quite a few people, PlayStation spent a lot of time, 6 games in fact, talking about VR. So here's going to be the question I pose to both of you. Do either of you care about any of these games at all?
No.
That's what I figured. Nathan, do you have any care at all?
No, and I wish I felt something. I just don't feel anything. I don't feel positive or negative. I just feel like they're coming, and
Gotcha.
it doesn't do anything for me at all.
So if it's okay with both of you, then I am just going to kind of breeze through these quick and talk about my brief feelings on them since I own PSVR, and then we can get on to the 4 big beefy baddies at the end of the show. Does that sound like a plan?
Well, before you do that,
Yes.
the one VR game that I want to see that they didn't show was Golem.
I agree. That was
Where
one of my.
did that
Where
game?
is that game? So no, I agree 100%. That was a game I thought for sure if they were going to show a VR game, it'd be that game, and it wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
And like, it's not even. They released a blog post today about like a whole boatload of games that are on the floor and things that you can check out. I don't think it's there. Period. I could be wrong about that, but I know in the coverage so far, it hasn't been mentioned once.
Man, because that and Farpoint were the 2 VR games that actually had me interested. Like, other than that, I'm just like, I mean, it's cool, but
So no, I agree. That was very surprising to me. Marty from Halo fame, probably hard at work making all that music, but maybe we'll hopefully get a game to go with it at some point.
Right.
So the VR games that they showed, though, and like I said, it was 6 games, so it was almost a third of their show. Apparently Skyrim's coming to VR, so that's a thing. So
Skyrim's coming to everywhere.
I know.
Right.
Switch gets their motion controls, and apparently PSVR gets super motion controls. Here's the thing that's interesting, though, and I noticed this in multiple things. This game's actually coming out in November. Wasn't mentioned at all during the press conference that it is, but it's coming out in November. So Skyrim VR, yep, that was a big surprise, but hey, that's a thing. Star Child, it's a space-themed side-scroller. It's from the same studio, Playful, that made Lucky's Tale on Oculus, and I don't know if they're making the Lucky's Tale game that's coming to Xbox One as well. Nathan, do you know?
Excuse me. I don't know who's making Super Lucky's Tale. I assume it is some relation to that developer. But excuse me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that was kind of a surprise. So a studio that had previously made an Oculus exclusive, now making something for PlayStation VR. Looked pretty cool. They have a good pedigree. Lucky's Tale is a pretty solid game, so looking forward to what that is. Inpatient is a PSVR exclusive, actually from Supermassive, the same folks who made Until Dawn. And this is actually in that universe as well, but set 60 years prior to the Until Dawn game. It's a psychological horror suspense game where you play a patient with amnesia in a sanatorium trying to figure out who you are and why you're there. Also, aiming for a holiday release this year. Again, wasn't listed, but they announced that later last night or earlier this morning that's looking for holiday 2017. What I think totally stole the show, Final Fantasy 15 Monster of the Deep. I know when I want to go fishing, I think of Final Fantasy 15 fishing. It's coming out in September. I know, Nathan, you were a big fan of Final Fantasy 15. This doesn't get you to want to buy a PSVR?
No. If I'm spending $500, I'm spending that on something else. I sorry. I want to know that the VR fishing is fun and good. I do know that I enjoyed my time with the non-VR fishing in Final Fantasy 15. And PSA to anybody that hasn't played it, Final Fantasy 15 is a fantastic game. I highly recommend it. But yeah, I mean, out of any of them, that was probably the most intriguing. But I mean, I've already had my fill of fishing in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it was just kind of, well, because they announced like the Final Fantasy 15 VR experience like back last year. And I don't know if that's what this is now replacing or if that other one is still coming or if maybe it came out and I just didn't know, which probably is a bad thing if that's true, but I don't think it did
not yet come out. No.
Yeah,
this is the first VR thing that will be released.
Right. So anyway, that's the thing that's coming out in September. Bravo Team is the second PSVR exclusive from Supermassive. It's a cover-based shooter taking place after an escort mission goes horribly wrong is the tagline for it, basically. It does have single-player and online co-op, and it also will be AIM controller compatible, and it's also aiming for a holiday 2017 release. So Supermassive trying to push actually 3 games total for them out before the end of this year, all on PlayStation, which is pretty cool to see. And the one that really I was most excited about is a game called Moss, which is a really cute game starring Quill the Mouse undertaking their adventure, and it's from developer Polyarch. I think this game is quite a ways out based off of there's a blog post about it that I read on it. I think the game looks really charming. I'm a big fan of a board game called Mice and Mystics, and this brought back vibes of that game immediately. So this one I'm actually really interested in, and actually reports from people playing on the floor are really positive. So hopefully this will be a good entrance into the PSVR family. So right, we'll move on to those things and the big bad games that people really, really want to talk. God of War got a pretty lengthy trailer and an early 28 release window. I'm guessing looking to slot in right where Horizon Zero Dawn did this year. Devin, God of War, are you in or are you out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Kratos. Most people don't like him as a character, but you know what? When you want to just release some anger and chop up some things and just brutally annihilate bad guys, Kratos does it better than most. I like the story arc. I like that it's taking the character in a different direction where he actually has to temper his anger and raise his son. Like, I really like what they're doing with that. I enjoy that they're changing it up. That we're in Norse mythology instead of the Greek mythology. So I like that they're giving it a new setting. They're taking it a new direction, and that they're giving the character new life. I like the fact that they showed a little bit more of the game, but I mean, it looks like God of War. So I'm excited about that. I like the fact that Sony is just saying, you know what, screw the fall. You guys can have it. We're going to own the beginning of the year. So I kind of like that they're pushing a lot of their big games to 2018. So when everybody's done with the fall, there's still stuff to actually play. So let the third parties have the fall. We'll get you all your exclusives, in the spring, early part of the year, so you have something to play once you're done with all of the the CODs and things that come in the fall. So I like it. I'm excited. I can't wait to jump into it.
Nathan, did God of War do anything for you?
It looked interesting. It looked like it'll have a good story. That's what I really take away from that. As far as the game itself, I made a comment. I don't know if it was on a chat or where it was, that when I saw it, it was like God of War: The Force Unleashed. There was a lot of influences. I mean, Force Unleashed was a God of War game. Let's be honest, with the Star Wars skin, but um, it looks good. It's not going to be a day one purchase or play for me. I haven't even played Uncharted 4 yet, so
What?
I have it. I have the limited edition over here too with the Nathan Drake statue. Stop.
I don't even know what to say.
But anyway, I thought it looked good. I thought it showed well. The story looks like it's promising. Obviously, visually very intriguing, and I think it's going to have some solid gameplay with it. It looks tight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were worried about the gameplay after the reveal of it last year, and they showed, I think, very clearly that there's still going to be a lot of just beating dudes up in the game, which is cool. I thought it looked great. I thought that, Dad of War, as it is now affectionately being called, I think it's a cool direction to go. I think, Corey Barlog and the folks there did a really long, hour-long presentation this morning about kind of where the game came from and how they got to where they did and the pitches for it. And I think there's a lot of thought going into this game, and it's very, very intentional with what they're trying to do. So I'm excited. I think the story, I think I might care about a story in a God of War game for the first time ever. Before, when I played them, I just wanted to beat crap up, and now I actually want to know what's happening in this story. I actually care about what's going on. So yeah, and they actually were very, very forthcoming too, or they made a big deal about the fact that that entire trailer was made off of a base PS4. That wasn't PS4 Pro footage. That was just a regular old PS4. So the game looks pretty good for just a regular old PS4, I feel like. So the next game to come up was the game that a lot of people were hoping we'd be playing this fall, but it doesn't look like that's true. Detroit Become Human got a really lengthy trailer, and as well as introducing its third playable protagonist, and that is how many there will be, is 3. The game continues to look stellar. The trailer was so long that I thought for sure this was going to get a fall release date, but instead we got nothing. Yeah, I'm all in on Detroit whenever we get it. I know David Cage's games always take a long time. I can't imagine, man. I mean, if this is 2018 too, 2018 is getting super stacked, and I was like, do we really think this is going to be 2019? But anyway, Nathan, Detroit. Does this game do anything for you?
Oh, yeah. This game does a lot for me. And I don't know anything about David Cage or anything like that, but last year when they showed Detroit, I was super intrigued. I was in. And it looked like it's a different thing this year that they showed than I thought it was going to be. So it looks like it's changed. I don't know if their story is changing or if it's just getting more fully realized what their vision is. But last time it was this hostage situation that the droid was negotiating, trying to figure things out, and I thought it was really cool. You had the branching paths to try to accomplish your goal, and there was all these different outcomes that could happen from it. It looks like that same principle is still here, but it looks a lot more like now it's an Android Uprising, right? Very Blade Runner's coming back into the theaters, and there's another game that was shown in the conference that reminded me of Blade Runner as well. So this is actually becoming more along the lines of what I really am interested in. I think that when it comes out, it'll be one that I push to the top of my playlist because it looks interesting, it looks intriguing, it looks like it's going to be my own adventure. It looks like, because when I play a choose your own adventure type game like a Telltale game or something like that, I only play it once. I don't play it for all the different endings. I play it once through, and that's my play. That's my story. And that looks like the same thing I can do with Detroit. So super excited about it. It looks fantastic visually. And I just want to find out really more about what's going on in that world. I think it's a cool premise.
Devin, are you going to be going to the Motor City?
Oh, absolutely. It might not be a day one purchase, but I'm definitely going to pick it up. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what we saw, I believe the character's name was Marcus. That's just another one of the playable characters. So we're still going to see the whole hostage situation guy. And then we also have this other character. So it's going to be multiple stories going on within this world, which I think is a really, really cool play. It just gives the story and the world that they're building so much more depth. Because you've got the Android Uprising, you've got this other Android that's a hostage negotiator, and you've got this underlying tone of AI, being sentient. And we all know that's a bad thing. So it's going to be really interesting. My only fear with this game is that I don't want it to be a walking sim. I want to be able to have a little bit more control than just making decisions and watching them play out. So I'm really hoping that we get a little bit more combat or some other gameplay mechanics where I'm not just, okay, this is happening, let me choose this and see how it plays out. Oh, this is happening, let me choose this and see how this plays out. Like I want it to be more than that. And that's my biggest fear, is that it's not going to be more than that it's going to be this beautiful world and great story, but for the most part, it's just going to be a pick this, click here, watch it play out. So we'll see.
Did you play Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls?
No.
Okay. Well, they have some. If he follows suit with what he's done there, they do. Have some.
I'm very familiar with this. I know all about it. What was the one game that came? Indigo Prophecy. I played that.
Okay.
And I liked it, but I want more.
I think it's interesting because it seems like we're going to be looking at this, uprising from three unique perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very interested to see how that goes, and especially how those stories intertwine.
Yeah.
Because he does, obviously he does some crazy things sometimes. So yeah, I'm very interested for it. I had one of the things I talked about, and I know this is just wishful thinking on my part, was the fact that it didn't get a date made me wonder, are they thinking that this game still might be out this fall, but they didn't want to commit to it? By not saying anything, in theoretically, they could say, hey, we're shooting for November, but we don't know if we're going to make it. So rather than put a date out there, we're just not going to say anything right now, because heaven knows these guys, PlayStation can't hit release dates even when they announce them. Right. So, and I think they're trying to, I was wondering if they're trying to avoid what happened with The Last Guardian last year when they announced it for October, and then a month and a half later, we're like, never mind, it's December.
Right.
That could just be me being wishful thinking, though, because I can't imagine if that game isn't coming out this year, are you really wondering if it's going to come out next year? Like, you can't even see 2018?
Exactly.
So,
it's definitely weird. Maybe we'll see something at Gamescom or PSX, and it'll be available next week or something. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So then the next big hitter to step up. As expected, Destiny 2 received an action-packed trailer, and it outlined the exclusive PlayStation content over the next year. Now, I didn't play much Destiny. I played till like level 14 or 15. I enjoyed it. I just didn't have anybody to play with, so I was like, well, I'm done now at this point. But from what I could tell, it seemed like what they outlined was pretty significant as far as PlayStation exclusive content. I thought the game looked great, but resident Destiny expert Devin, was that really substantial content to be exclusive for a year?
It is. It's substantial because the fact that as a PlayStation owner, you're going to have another strike, you're going to have another map, you're going to have a weapon, and it's actually a pretty ridiculous weapon in the fact that it does all of the 3 different elemental damages you can just swip out on the fly. So it becomes very significant, especially when you get a game like Destiny where you're repeating a lot of stuff. So you play through the strikes multiple times. So to be able to have a larger variety of strikes to play through, it becomes a very significant thing. And I was hoping that they were only going to do, because of the outcry, only do gear and then maybe a ship. I was hoping that they wouldn't do the whole map thing and do the strike thing and an exotic again, because it really sucks, because the Xbox community is paying the same amount, but they're getting less content. Mm-hmm. It just, I really don't like the way they do their exclusive content. I wish it was just like, a gear set or whatnot that wasn't, a legendary gear set, just a rare gear set that just looked cool or whatnot, and a ship, because those don't really affect the game too much. But this, when you give that many things, it really does just kind of sour the Xbox crowd on the game. So it is what it is. I'll be, playing the strike, and I'll be getting the exotic weapon, and it still kind of solidifies, PlayStation as the place to play Destiny. You're going to get more people streaming it and playing it on PS4 because it's going to be that extra content. So when you look at the YouTubers and the streamers or whatnot, they're probably going to be maining PlayStation. They'll have a character on PC and then they'll have a character on Xbox. But, like I said, it is what it is. I'm super stoked. I mean, it's Destiny. We all know how much I love that game. So I'm definitely super excited. It's going to be the game that I put by far the most hours into out of anything that's going to come this fall. It looks like they're actually doing a lot more story-wise. So we will get a much more cohesive story experience. And hopefully from what they've shown, it'll just be a better game. It looks like they're trying to right all the wrongs of vanilla Destiny. I can't believe you only played to level 14, sir. The funny thing is, I played the majority of the game by myself. So the whole I didn't have anybody to play with, to me, I don't get that. That to me doesn't resonate, because again, if I'm not playing a strike or a raid, I'm playing by myself because I like to be able to pick through the world and I'm paying attention to the story. So that's just how I see it.
I think for me, the game just felt like it probably would be more enjoyable with other people. And I just didn't really have anyone to play with at the time. So you're just going to have to drag me along and help me get decent at Destiny, I guess.
No Nathan, problem. I will Sherpa you through.
That sounds great. Nathan, are you a Destiny player? I don't know if I've heard you really talk much about Destiny.
Oh, I spent at least 100 hours in the original Destiny.
So a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I got all the expansions and everything. I had a good group of guys that I played with on the other console. But I don't know. I mean, I've been thinking about this. And as excited as I was going into E3 about Destiny 2 and how great it looks, I don't know. If, Devin mentioned that for him, he plays it single player. And I do too to some extent, but you can only play so much single player. Then, I mean, it gets to a point where you really need friends, right? And a lot of the friends that I play with are deciding to go to the other consoles. They're deciding to go to PC or to leave where I play. So I don't know. It just really depends. If my friends are still around, I'm still in on Destiny. But if they are deciding to go play it somewhere else instead, I may actually end up at least waiting for a while. Because the other thing about the exclusive content is it doesn't really bug me per se, but at the same time, it's always going to be there in the back of my mind, right? Like, I wish I could check out whatever they were talking about on, this podcast or over here, or what they're talking about over on PSVG. But I'm not sure. Like, this fall, it got really packed real quick from third parties. And as much time as I know Destiny can take, I don't know how much time I'm going to be able to give. So I got some thinking to do about Destiny. Honestly, I think it looks great. I think it looks really, really good. And I really want to play it, but I just don't know at this point when I will play it.
Gotcha. Yeah, the crew I play Overwatch with is trying to decide if we're going to switch to Destiny 2 when that comes out, or if we're going to continue to play Overwatch. So,
let me pose this one thing to you, Nate. Seeing as how we already know that it's going to be only 30 frames and 4K on both the Scorpio and the PS4, if all your friends are going to be playing it on PS4 or PC, why wouldn't you just play it on one of those consoles or one of those systems?
Because, well, for the PlayStation 4 side, I don't like those sticks. They don't sit there. They're not the right spot for me. They're not comfortable. And if I play it on the PC, I don't know. Like I don't play very much games on PC. So that'd be my second option, honestly. Is if I was to do it, I would do it on PC before PlayStation. Even though PlayStation is going to get that content again, so that'll still be in the back of my mind. Even if I get it on PlayStation or on PC, is like, I'm still missing out on something. So I just don't know. I need to think about it because, like I said, this fall is going to be really busy. What's the release date for this? It's September something.
September 6th. They pushed it up 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
It never happens.
So, I'm just thinking this fall. I mean, I got Battlefront. When that comes out, all systems are Battlefront for me. So I don't know. I haven't made my decision there yet, and I gotta find out where my buddies are going, and that'll be my deciding factor.
All right. So finally, the last title that we knew would be there, and what kind of surprised some is the last title of the show because we were only at about 60 minutes at this point, was Spider-Man from Insomniac. We got a healthy dose of Spidey action, as well as a 2018 release year, we'll say. So, starting off this time with you, Nathan, what did you think of the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
How much time you got? So, as you can probably tell by my gamer tag and my identifier anywhere I go except for Twitter, because I couldn't get it. My two loves when I signed up for Xbox Live were Spider-Man and Star Wars. So Spider Jedi, right? That's been my moniker forever. And I love it. I continue to love it. I've never had any want to change my name or anything. And Spider-Man 2 back on Xbox, original Xbox and PlayStation in that era was the first game that I loved, open world game that I just loved because I could just go home after school, play that game, move around, do nothing, right? And just swing around the city and I'd be fine. It was fun. Looking at this, from what they've shown, it looks like I'm going to be able to do that again. It looks like everything that I've wanted and didn't know that I want at the same time for Spider-Man. I have full trust or faith that Insomniac will do a fantastic job. So this game is number one on my radar coming out of the conference and E3 in general so far. This is I can't wait to play this game. This is my game that I'm looking forward to in 2018. This takes a back seat to me for Star Wars, obviously my other love. So it was a great way for them to end the conference for sure, in my opinion. We saw just briefly last year a little bit about it, but this was a full-blown mission, pretty much. And they got a lot done. I don't know if this might just be a vertical slice that may not even come into the game or it will be changed by the time it's done. But even so, man, it looks fantastic. I want to play it now. And I mean, it's a reason for me to definitely hang on to my PlayStation 4.
Devin, were you as pleased with Spider-Man as Nathan was?
Hell yeah. The thing about superheroes is like you have to get them to actually look and feel like their comic book counterpart, which can be really difficult. And this looks like Spider-Man. The way he moves, the way he flips around and twists and spins and throws his web all over the place, it was Spider-Man. And that's something that's really, really hard to emulate. It's something that's hard to do in games and even in movies. Like it's hard to actually just really recreate that type of comic book experience. And this felt just like it. You had the little one-liners, you have him whipping around, and just it was Spider-Man. And nothing says greatness like being able to really duplicate that and feel like I'm actually just reading a comic book. So I am very, very, very excited for this. I love the look of the game. I love the gameplay mechanics there. There's some quick time stuff which I'm fine with. Because again, it looks like Spider-Man. It looks like it's going to control well. It looks like it's got a really tight storyline. I love the little Easter egg they threw in there with Miles at the end. Yes. It's great. So I'm really, really, really excited. Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters. I love it when they get him right and they actually have him talking trash while he's doing stuff, because that is Spider-Man. Like, if nothing else, Spider-Man, Peter Parker is a smart aleck. So I love when they get that right. So I'm definitely excited for it. It's definitely going to be a day one pickup in 2018 whenever it comes.
Yeah, they're showing the same sequence as the demo, but you can do it because it is a true open world game. They said that it is completely open world. So that whole how you chase down that helicopter can be done in a myriad of different ways. And that's just the way they chose to do it for that demo. But the demo on the floor at E3 lets you go after it however you choose you want to do that. So I watched an interview with Insomniac today, and they seem really excited and a little nervous about this game, in the sense of they feel high expectations on them and they really want to deliver. And somebody had asked about the QuickTime events, and they said, yeah, people don't like QuickTime events when they suck. They're like, ours don't suck. So I was like, well, I guess there you go. I mean, and it's not all QuickTime, obviously, but for some things, especially with movement, and you two are obviously far more versed in comics than I am. But when I, as a lay person who's watched, some Spider-Man movies, looks at it, it's like, hey, that looks like Spider-Man. And then you both are like, that looks like Spider-Man. I think that they're probably doing something right, it would seem. So I'm definitely excited about it. I'll play it day one because it just looks like a really fun game, not because of an attachment to Spider-Man or anything like that. That game just looks fun. So
that's a day one purchase for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that wrapped up the show. Very tight 60, 65 minutes. And basically all they did was show games. But there were some things not present that a lot of people had thought would be there. So I just really want to briefly go through some of the things that people thought or we thought would be there, other than those that we knew definitively people came out and said, hey, we're not going to be here. Nathan, I know you're, as an Xbox guy, some of these might not mean a ton to you, but we'll see. Feel free to chime in. So I'm just going to kind of run down the list, and then we'll talk about everything. So some things that weren't there, that a lot of Dreams, is that game ever coming out? So Dreams wasn't there at all. Whatever Sucker Punch is working on, not shown again, even though we know Shuhei played it over 2 years ago. Bloodborne 2, which was really heavily rumored, really legitimate looking screenshots and title pages from that game have been seen. That was nowhere to be found. Wild was not there because apparently now Ansel's working on Beyond Good and Evil 2 instead. So maybe this game's never coming out either. Final Fantasy VII Remake, which we pretty much knew wasn't going to be there based off of all the things that had changed recently, but would have been nice to have an update on that game. Shenmue 3, which I don't know when they changed the release date. If they said they wouldn't be at E3, they may have, but that wasn't there.
I'm just kidding.
Last of Us 2 wasn't there. I didn't think it would be. Some people were hoping, but that wasn't there anywhere. Kingdom Hearts 3, which we kind of knew wasn't going to be there because we had heard pretty much at D23s where we're going to hear more about that game. Rumors are, though, that's coming out in March. I don't believe it, but we'll see what happens. Battlefront 2, which was the big one that I can't believe was not on stage, and then also Far Cry 5. And then a whole bunch of people being like, well, why isn't Red Dead there? Because Red Dead's never there.
Right. Rockstar are Rockstars. They do
right,
what
they're never
they want
be there.
when they want.
I've been surprised. I've been watching their Twitter and stuff, and that they haven't released any screenshots of anything this week. Because I think it was last year that they released a screenshot, right? Just like on Tuesday or Thursday after the conference.
And it got like more news than like anything in the conference that day. So, of those things that I mentioned, and if you can think of, and then Gollum, obviously, which we talked about earlier, of those things that were absent, Devin, what would you most have liked to have seen, or what do you think is the most important, as in what in the world's going on with it, absent that you saw?
Honestly, whatever Sucker Punch is working on, I thought for sure that'd be like the way to close it out, like and something that we haven't seen or heard of yet. That would have been great. That's what I think was the biggest miss. I felt like everything they showed outside of the VR stuff, we had already seen, and they didn't put dates on them. So it's kind of like, oh, this is just a rehash. The fact that Final Fantasy VII didn't show up in any way, shape, or form, I'm just like, what? What? Like, it just blows my mind. But then I keep thinking back, okay, Sony has PSX. I think they're kind of like, whatever, this is E3, here's some trailers. We're going to give you the PlayStation faithful, the good stuff at our conference. So it's just, I just kind of feel like that's kind of the way they're leaning. It's like, okay, we'll give the press something, but the people who really, really, really are in the PlayStation, we're going to give them the good stuff. Because that's where we got like The Last of Us 2. Like that was huge, and they announced it at PSX when normally you'd see something like that at E3. So I kind of feel like they're kind of leaning towards that. And I was also shocked that they didn't show any Battlefront 2 things. So it makes me wonder if they still have any kind of exclusive marketing deal with Battlefront. But other than that, yeah, the biggest thing was Gollum. I was like, where'd that go? I feel like that's probably the best case for VR outside of Farpoint. And for that not to show up, it was just really, really weird. I completely forgot about Bloodborne, to be honest. I didn't even remember that. So, but yeah, those are the ones, man. Sucker Punch, Final Fantasy, those are the big ones where I'm just like, well, what's going on there?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain the marketing deal still exists because at EA, every time they showed Battlefront stuff, there was a PlayStation logo before it. So I'm going to take a wild guess, Nathan, on what your most missed thing was, but why don't you tell me anyway?
Well, I know it's a third-party game, and of course, you mentioned it a second ago, but Battlefront. I mean, not last year, but a couple years ago when Battlefront was announced, they had them on their stage. They had this big thing. They had they didn't have the Darth Vader PS4 yet, but they had like a special thing where they were going to give you a special copy of the game with a special box for Star Wars stuff. And there was just nothing. Not even a mention. I don't even think there was any EA games at their conference.
No.
And that was really surprising. I figured that because of the marketing deal, because of something, they were going to be like, and we're going to show you what this looks like in 4K, because they streamed it in 4K. They on YouTube, I watched their conference in 4K. So they could have done something where they streamed it out, but I think that they were once bitten, twice shy with 4K. They had that event and then a little bit of backlash on it, so maybe they didn't want to double down on showing anybody, hey, this is 4K, watch this in 4K and you'll see it. But I don't know. I wish they would have shown. I got 30 minutes of Star Wars from the EA conference, and I mean, from our internal discussions, you guys know that I rate the EA conference pretty high because of that. But yeah, no mention of Star Wars. Maybe he mentioned it, but it wasn't on the stage. I didn't see a logo. I didn't see, didn't hear any Star Wars music, and I feel like there should have been something. There should have been some fanfare if their logo is in front of this huge game. Why weren't they on the stage? That's a big what to me. Other things, pretty much going to echo what Devin says. Final Fantasy VII Remake. That game, it's never going to come, you guys.
I kind of feel the same way at this point.
I love Final Fantasy. I was so hyped when they announced the, trailer thing that they did with Cloud and Barrett walking down the road. And, they had a little bit more later, but it's gone radio silent. And it needs to. Let's be honest. If they are going to release this game in the next 2 or 3 years, we would have heard something about it at this conference, but it's not going to come out. It's not going to come out before 2020 for sure. So go radio silent on that. That's fine. I just Final Fantasy 7 particularly for me is such a nostalgia or ingrained in my DNA at this point that anything that
Mhm.
whenever I get a inkling of maybe we'll see it and we don't, I get kind of disappointed. So ever since, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when they said, "Hey, we're gonna do it." Um, but yeah, so that was the other thing was where was that? So those are the two biggest where were they's for me from their conference, and I was surprised. Not a where was it, but why did they do that? Why did they put Gran Turismo and date Gran Turismo at the
Pre-show.
pre-show instead of during the conference?
Yeah, there's been a lot of thought going on. I think, and because one thing that also happened at the pre-show was the dates for PSX were announced for December 9th and 10th in Anaheim again. Now, the
Mhm.
last couple years, PSX dates were announced in like, gosh, September, October.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
always super late.
hey, surprise, we're doing this thing again. Like, I feel there's a grand sense, I feel, from people in the PlayStation ecosystem that PlayStation is putting more and more emphasis and care into PSX, and that is going to be their marquee show each year. And that
Yep.
they'll come to E3 because, and that's why you didn't see any indies really this year, is because they came to E3, they showed off the big games because it's still technically a buying conference to be like, hey, look at these big sweet AAA games. Please carry our stuff. Please carry our PSVR. That's why we showed you 6 of those games in your stores, and then we'll talk to our hardcore fan base in 6 months at PSX, and we'll give you guys all the stuff you actually care about then.
Yep.
Now, that's kind of the thought process. We'll see if that turns out in 6 months to be what's happening, but there is a lot of thought that that is the direction PlayStation is going, and that they're not going to abandon E3 at this point, but they don't feel E3 is as important anymore because of the return they're seeing on PSX.
Yeah, just to add to that, being at PSX for the first one and this last one, I can definitely tell you there's so much more just love in the air for PlayStation at that conference because it's their show. You have your audience. You're speaking directly to the people who are going to be buying your systems and playing your games. So it just like you could just tell just from the actual conference, the different panels and what they did at PSX, like this is going to be their marquee. This is where they're going to put all their chips, especially since they're looking to own the beginning of the year is from what we've seen from last year or from this year and from going into 2018. Have put all your chips at PSX, and all of those games are going to be coming out very, very soon after. So you're going to be able to have them in a playable form in front of the audience who's actually going to be buying the games and able to play them instead of the gaming press. So I like the strategy. I like the idea of what they're doing. Use PSX, here's something for the press, but we're going to save the big guns for our actual audience, the people who are going to be buying and playing our game. So if that's the direction, I am 100% in.
Or, people who really like PlayStation like me and other people might be grasping at straws to try to explain why we felt this conference was a little weaker than the last couple of years.
So that was kind of one thing I was going to say, but I didn't. But one thing that I thought was missing, where was it? Where was the energy?
Yeah.
I
Oh my God.
I didn't feel any energy either from, I forget his name, the presenter that walked out there,
Sean Layden.
John Layton, and from the crowd, it was that they panned to. I just didn't feel anything from them either.
One of the differences too is that at the PlayStation conference, the crowd wasn't mic'd. It was mic'd at the Xbox conference.
Well, yeah, but I mean that would be for audio, obviously. But
yeah,
just
when you pan to them, like they just looked like they were there, like they were just sitting
bored. Like they were on their phones a lot, and then I realized that they were tweeting and doing other stuff, but it just felt like they were disinterested.
It's interesting because I've listened to multiple podcasts of people who were there, and they said that actually the showmanship of the show was spectacular. That sitting in that room and watching those things, it was really a cool experience. Now, I think maybe when you're seeing a whole bunch of stuff you've already seen before, and Shadow Colossus had leaked early that was happening, and Monster Hunter had leaked early, so literally, other than the VR games, you knew everything. I think that probably is like, oh, you see, all right, here's the God of War trailer. It's the God of War trailer. Here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah.
Card, right? You're just checking off your stuff.
Exactly. Right. So I think that might have been some of it too. But
also with it being gaming press, like how many of those people that were in there didn't already know pretty much everything that was going to be shown. So
Right.
eh.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, and I'm probably sounding pretty down on it, and I know Devin's probably a little lower on the show than I am. I thought it was a solid show still. I still want to play the vast majority of those games. I'm still excited to play the vast majority of those games. I just think of, and I think it was actually Marty Sleeve at IGN who said, imagine how different the tone of this conference would have been if the last thing we saw was the Last of Us 2 reveal.
Right.
You know, they just didn't have that one, like, out of the, like, just crush a moment that they've had every, the past couple of years. Like, God of War looks amazing. I'm really excited for Detroit. Spider-Man looks spectacular. I'm really excited for Uncharted. Days Gone surprised me.
Amazing. Come on now. You gotta say Spider-Man looks amazing.
Okay,
amazing. You get it,
Yeah.
Devin, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, amazing Spider-Man. I gotcha. But I mean, so it is interesting though when we talk about all those games and how great they are. But then a lot of people are like, "Well, the conference was fine," and it's like, we just talked about how great all those games were. But anyway,
I
so
think the problem was not problem, but I think what a lot of people are reacting to is that they've seen all these games before, except for Shadow of the
Exactly.
Colossus, right?
Exactly.
So
Well, no,
that was
we've seen Shadow of the Colossus before twice already.
twice
well,
already. Yeah,
okay.
This is the third time we've seen Shadow of the Colossus.
But it's just one of those things where what new was brought to the table? What warrants a conference out of this? And I mean, I said this with Bethesda too. Bethesda had an intro and an exit from a guy on stage, and they could have done a Nintendo Direct. I feel like you could have probably just done the same thing from Sony's side here. They just had a guy come out there and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And here's one more thing at the end.
Yep.
I didn't get any energy from him. I don't know who that guy is, but
he's the president of Worldwide, like the super president, because I guess I think technically Shuhei is still president as well. I don't know how that
I think
all works.
he's America. I think Sean.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Worldwide, and he's America. You're right.
And I know I've seen him on the conference stages before, but he just did not exude any character. He was very business, very suit. Nobody else in the conferences seems to do that kind of, I walk out here in a suit with a button-up shirt anymore. Everybody else is always kind of like jeans, t-shirt, maybe a jacket just for fun. And that's kind of how it's done now. It's kind of more of that casual atmosphere. And I don't know, maybe that could be one of the things too that maybe added to it was that this guy's he felt a little stuffy,
He is better at PSX.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
He's way better at PSX than he is at the E3 shows. So I think there is some. I think, like I said, I think to Sony this is still a formal business thing, and whereas PSX is not. And for better or for worse, sometimes Sony is still a little more businessy than we would like them to be.
Right.
I think most of us would really like. A lot of people really like some of the personalities at the PlayStation blog and the blogcasts they do. And sometimes we wish they would just let them off the chain a little bit. Like they very clearly have directives in the ways they need to do things. And sometimes it'd be nice for them just to they don't like something when they just don't talk about it. Like that's how like something isn't good. They just don't mention it. And you're like, oh, that must not be a very good game then. Good to know. So. Anyway. Did
you watch the beginning of that pre-show where they had some technical difficulties and they're like, we're on camera. And then Brian Close is like, well, I guess the real question is, can they hear us? And they're like, yep.
Yeah, exactly. Clements is great. Like I love
Clements and Sid. Awesome. Oh yeah, they're awesome.
So, all right. Well, we're going to soon be as long as the Xbox show here with our two parts combined. So we'll wrap this up in a brief looking at, hey, what are we going to be playing this fall? What are things to be excited about from anywhere? And Nathan, if you want to bring Xbox stuff up, that's totally cool. Everyone is welcome here. We're excited to hear what you guys are excited about as well. So I'm just going to run through some of the. Now I will say I don't have any Xbox exclusive titles in this list, but if you want to add them, you're more than welcome to.
That's right.
So I just picked out a selection of, and this is not all the games, just kind of a selection of games that are coming out. Some that are either just bigger third-party games or some that are more exclusive to PlayStation platform. In the months August through November. I'm just going to talk about them, list them off quick. We'll talk about what we're interested in playing. So for August, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is coming out, which has been long in development, and that one's coming out this August. Lawbreakers is coming out. Agents of Mayhem, Matterfall, Uncharted: Lost Legacy, Madden. Coach Mo, did you hear that? Madden. Absolver, Everybody's Golf, Yakuza Kiwami, those are kind of the bigger headline games currently for August. Devin, are you going to be playing any of those?
Yeah, Hellblade for sure. That looks like a lot of. I like just the direction that one's going in. Agents of Mayhem. That's also one of those just fun games. I mean, it's basically the new Saints Row. So I will definitely be playing that. Matterfall also looks awesome. It's funny. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I kind of just have had my fill of Uncharted, which is really weird. But after playing Horizon, I kind of look at Uncharted. I'm just like, and even Tomb Raider. I'm just like, I love the story. I love what you do here, but the gameplay just doesn't bring me in. Like I can't chase gear. There's no leveling. There's no kind of RPG mechanics, and those are the kind of the things that drive me to play. So with Uncharted, I'm just like, I love this world, but I need more from the actual playing of the game. Like I'm basically playing the action sequences just to get to the next cutscene. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna play this. And I think, do we get this free if you had like the gold edition or the
I
whatever it
know,
was,
like, because
season pass?
you're a digital guy. I got the
Yeah.
digital deluxe edition. Is that what you got?
Yeah, I got that too.
Then yes, you get it for free.
Okay, well, I'll have it. I'll download it and maybe I'll play it. But those are the ones that jump out at me for August.
Gotcha. Nathan, what are you gonna be playing this August?
Probably just Madden.
You're not gonna jump into everybody's golf with Donnie? He's gonna be so sad.
I mean,
So sad.
I might have to wait for a sale on that one unless Donnie's like, this is a 11 out of 10. Maybe I'll hop in on it. But I'm really interested in Madden because I looked through the window at FIFA and their story mode kind of thing that they put in there, and NBA 2K just recently did that as well. And I just don't like soccer or basketball games, so I would rather just, for my sports games, football is where I go. And I'm glad that they're going to put that mode into Madden this year. I want to see what it's all about. I think it'd be interesting to do the long shot career and kind of just go through the story and see what they bring to the table. It'll be, a lot. I just played a game of Madden 17 tonight, so that's a game that'll start in August, and I'll just keep playing it probably until the next one comes out.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely down for Hellblade. That game looks sweet. Matterfall for sure. Anything from Housemarque, I'm in on day one. The fact that they have 2 games coming out in the next 3 months is crazy.
Right.
So that's for sure. Uncharted Lost Legacy, got it for free. I would buy it anyway. That looks really awesome. I will. Coach Mo is so passionate about Madden, it makes me want to not suck at it. Like, I'm so bad at that game. Like, I tried playing it this year again just because he talked about it so much. We had a little league on PlayStation that didn't last very long. I was throwing like 7 interceptions a game. It was bad. Maybe I'll give it a shot though, because he's so passionate about it. And the fact that there's a story mode or a story type mode does make me far more interested than I have been in the past. Absolver looks cool. I'm sure I'm going to suck at it, but I'll probably give that a shot. I will play Everybody's Golf with Donnie to make him not sad. And having picked up Yakuza 0 earlier this year, those games are a blast. So I'm definitely going to be playing Yakuza Kiwami because those things are bananas. So,
Kyle, being that you love Overwatch, you don't think you're gonna try Lawbreakers? I feel like it's kind of in that same vein.
I have actually talked to the group of guys I play with, and I said, "Hey, this is coming out. Do we want to try it?" If they do, I will. I think that's a game that I don't know if I would want to play by myself. I do feel like it does fit in a similar vein. I actually added up the other day, and I've put. You can't see arcade hours yet on Overwatch, but in just like regular competitive and quick play, I'm at like 180 hours or something like that, which for me is, I know it's not 1,000 hours of Destiny, but for me that's a ton of hours in a game in a year. So it's on the radar. It's definitely not. I want to see. I've heard some Q was talking to. That game is so darn fast.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to translate to console. So I kind of want to see how it's going to work first. So it's on the radar, but it's definitely not like a yes, I'm in 100%. So September, there's that little game, Destiny 2.
Yep.
And that Destiny 2 killer, Knack 2. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, NBA 2K, FIFA, and then some other sports titles, but then a whole bunch of tiny niche titles that I'm not even necessarily mentioning, like some Ease 8 and Danganronpa V3 Trigger. I don't remember what the subtitle for that one is, but anyway, the big ones being Destiny 2, NAC 2 for me, Marvel vs. Capcom, and then NBA and FIFA. Other than Destiny 2, Devin, are you playing any of those other games?
If NBA Live comes out, I
think is that one too.
that. If it comes out in September, I will probably pick up NBA Live just because I like the swag they had for their reveal. I've always been more of a live fan than NBA 2K anyway. So if that drops in September, there's a strong chance I'll pick that up because basketball is always my sport of choice. I love me some basketball.
Gotcha. Nathan, comic book guy, Marvel vs. Capcom, is that a thing for you?
It is, but not right off the bat. I don't want to spend $100 on it. I just recently picked up the Marvel vs. Capcom last release, and it was like with all the characters and everything, and it was like less than $10. So that's how I want to do this one too. I think it's cool that they got the story trailer. The trailer does look interesting that they showed on the stage. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm super excited to find out if it's any good. Hopefully it is. And I forgot to mention in August, Tacoma. I'll probably be paying that depending on price.
That does look really interesting. I'm very interested to see how they, because I know the concept of you're seeing all of these cool like not VR, but like these codexes left behind that are like acted out and kind of putting together what happened. I'm very interested in that game. If I had an Xbox, I would be playing it.
You know what else you would play if you had an Xbox?
What's that?
September 29th, Cuphead.
I probably would. That's true. Very, very true. That game's up my alley. So I just hope that. Yeah, I just hope that them putting levels in doesn't change that game too much, because I know when it was first revealed, it was basically just boss rush. I hope that the level design is as solid as the boss rush mode seemed to be. So
well, it's only $20, so
it's worth a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So October seems to actually be a pretty stacked month, surprisingly. Shadow of War, Evil Within 2, South Park Fractured But Whole, Assassin's Creed Origins, and Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Nathan, what of those will be you firing up?
Well, let me just go down my list here that I'm looking at. I have a couple extras to add in there. So October 3rd, Forza Motorsport 7. That will be coming out. I probably won't be getting that day one, but I might. It's hard for me to say right now. It just depends. Well, I love me some Forza, but I mean, I only got so much time and so much money. Middle Earth, Shadow of War looks fantastic. I loved the first one. I kind of want to play through the first one again, honestly, before this one comes out. That's probably not going to happen, but Shadow of War does look really good. I want to play the first Stick of Truth South Park game. I haven't played that yet, but the Fractured But Whole does look quite intriguing. Mario Odyssey comes out October 27th.
October 27th is a crazy date because that's when Wolfenstein and Assassin's Creed Origins is as well.
And so Mario Odyssey definitely is probably going to be a day one. Assassin's Creed Origins, just because of the whole Egypt slant. I'm really interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll probably wait on Wolfenstein if I even get to it, because I still haven't beaten the first one that was released a couple of years ago, or the second one that was like a DLC type thing. So Wolfenstein may be in the cards later on. That trailer looked pretty crazy. So I was impressed enough by the trailer to at least keep it on my radar.
Devin, anything you want to check out in October around your Destiny time?
Yeah, so everything on that list I want, except for Evil Within 2. But here's the issue for me. All of those games are probably going to drop to like half price in November. Like, so it's one of those, like, do I want to pick those up then, or just wait until November when they probably drop to half price on Black Friday? But every single game that comes out in October that's on that list, with the exception of Evil Within, I want to play. Assassin's Creed with a bow and a drone, sign me up. And much like Nathan, like it's funny, I have the Wolfenstein games and the DLC because they had like some crazy deal where you got them both for $20 like 2 years ago. I haven't cracked the plastic on them, so they're just sitting there. But I love the idea of it. Yeah, dude, Nate, I have so many games that are still in plastic. I have PS3 games that are still in plastic. It's just sad.
So the funny thing is, I got the same thing with digital games. It's just like
too.
one of those things where you buy it, it's installed, but you still haven't cracked the digital plastic.
Yeah, oh my god, I have a lot of digital plastic as well. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
the backlog is just not even funny.
The first.
Do you still get the first South Park if you pre-order Fractured But Whole? Is that still a thing?
That is still a thing. Yep.
Then I'll probably pre-order just to get the first.
I know. That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to play everything on that list. I actually love the first Wolfenstein, the New Order and the DLC, the Old Blood, or whichever order that goes in. Actually, yeah, I have the plat in that, so I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's great. So actually, that might be the one I'm looking forward to the most, other than possibly Shadow of War, because Shadow of Mordor was like my game of the year that year. I absolutely love that game. And I even want to play Evil Within 2. So literally everything on that list, I want to play. We'll see if I actually play any of it, but I want to play it all. And then the final month, closing out the year for us here, or getting close to closing out the year, because nothing comes out in December. That's not true, things do, but nothing I want to talk about. So, November, Call of Duty World War II, this little title, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Ni no Kuni 2, Need for Speed Fast and the Furious, Payback, and Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. What of that, Devin, will you be looking forward to playing?
So, I'm not playing COD. I don't want to play World War II again. It looks nice, but I'll probably wait. Star Wars Battlefront 2. See, this is a weird one. I really, really want to play the campaign. I don't really have a whole lot of desire to play the actual multiplayer at all, to be perfectly honest. So I'm really on the fence on whether or not I want to get it day one or just wait for it later. And the Need for Speed looks cool. If they can get the story right in this one and it not just be garbage, I think it'll be fun. I've always loved Need for Speed. It's always been just a fun racing game where I don't have to think too much about, how I'm going to manage the car. I can just fast cars, exotic locales, run from the police. So I'm interested in that one. It looks like it could be fun. But that's really it for November. Just, Battlefront and Need for Speed would be the ones I pick up, but I just don't know if I'm going to pick them up day one or just wait.
Gotcha. Nathan, anything? I don't think there's probably anything on that list you want to play.
First off, I have to say, Devin, I find your lack of faith disturbing. Call of Duty, World War II, I don't care.
Right. Exactly.
Everybody's like, oh yeah, it's World War II, blah, blah. First off, I don't want to relive World War II right now.
Thank you. Somebody else said it.
But I think that it's a Call of Duty game. Everybody will play it and buy it eventually, but I'm not going to be there day one. Crackdown 3 and Super Lucky's Tale both come out November 7th, and that is also the day the Xbox One X comes out. So November will be an interesting month for Xbox. Ni no Kuni 2, I don't even know what that is. I'm not even going to attempt to know what it is.
That's fine.
Need for Speed Payback, which is appropriate that you were like Need for Speed Fast and Furious, because it was just like, I was watching that trailer and it was just, this was a scene in a movie, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. How did they get away with that? Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. I think it's cool that they're still continuing on with this, even though. So there was some confusion around this before, because this one includes like your characters like the X-Men and Spider-Man and the Avengers all in the same game, which they didn't know if they were going to be able to do for some time. So it's cool that all the actual Marvel heroes are together. I have a ton of Lego games that I haven't even played, so I'm not going to get this day one for sure. But maybe later on if the price is right. Um, and then there's a little game, Battlefront 2, which I will be pre-ordering. I will be playing as soon as I can via EA Access. I will be playing I'll get like the deluxe version that lets me play it like 3 days early. I'm gonna get it digitally just so I don't have to worry about going to a store to get it.
Yep. All about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be. That's my jam. Like I was watching that EA presentation, whatever they called it, and just drinking it up. They were 30 minutes of Star Wars, and it was what was funny or interesting is that they chose to show Theed, an Episode 1 location, and correct me if I'm wrong, but people hate the prequels.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that they chose, battle droids versus clones, and Episode 1 stuff. They did have Boba Fett, Han Solo, and Rey come in as hero characters. So it's interesting that the hero characters and the eras of the soldiers don't necessarily have to match, at least for this demo. And the flight in that game, just everything looked so good. I cannot wait for this game. The story mode looks great. It was weird. On the EA conference, they came out on the stage and they're like, yeah, it's going to have story and everything about story. And we're going to have a story. And I'm the main actress in the story. And now here's multiplayer.
Yeah, that was a weird transition. I was
Right?
like, wait.
They didn't talk about the story. They didn't show any story trailers or
Yeah.
anything. And just went right into multiplayer. That was kind of weird.
It was weird.
But hey, I'm all in for Star Wars. Anybody who knows me knows that. So
yeah,
I'm super stoked for it. That is my most anticipated game of this year for sure. Probably gonna be my game of the year. Let's just be honest. So looking forward to that for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'll probably play Call of Duty because I play every Call of Duty. I'm excited about this one. I don't really want to, not that I ever lived through World War II. I don't really want to re-experience it either, but I probably will. Kuni 2, I'm totally down for. I feel like, unless something else changes between now and the end of the year, that will be from the time that game comes out till the end of the year, sit down and sink 60, 80, 100 hours into that guy. And finish off my year around playing multiplayer matches of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Yeah. And I will definitely pick up Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 at some point down the line when it is on steep discount because my wife loves to play the Lego games, so we always play them together, but I rarely ever pay full price for them. So that will be down the line purchase because it's fun to play couch co-op with that.
Just wait 4 years and it's like $5.
I know, or it'll be on PS Plus or whatever. All right, everyone. That will do it for the PlayStation E3 Media Showcase 2017 recap. Thanks so much for taking time to listen to us. As a reward, we will have a couple of games to give away here in the coming days/weeks. So make sure you keep your ears tuned or your eyes peeled to PlaySomeVideoGames.com and with some more information about that. In the meantime, Nathan, where can folks find you on the internet?
They can find me over on Twitter at Voiced by Nathan. They can find me on PSN. Had to spit that one out. And Xbox Live at Spider Jedi. Sorry. And that's where you can find me. Obviously, check out some articles that we got going on over at PlaySomeVideoGames.com. There's a lot going on this week, guys. I don't know if you've heard, but something on the West Coast is happening.
Speaking of something on the West Coast, Devin, where can folks find you?
You can find me on the Twitterverse at DevATias, on PSN at DatNinjaDev2, and also check out Unrated Podcast. Me and Q do that, and we also have a Twitter up. So yell at us. We like to stir up a hornet's nest because that's just what we do.
And you guys do it oh so well. You can find me at Twitter or the PSN at Psychocross, CYCOCROSS, technically on Xbox Live too, but I'm never ever on there. Actually, I don't even know. My gold ran out a long time ago, but I think my account still exists, right?
It would revert to a silver, yeah.
So, but it's still there. So you could friend me if you wanted to, I guess.
You should friend me.
I have one of those too.
So
When you get to Windows 10, you'll have the Xbox app, and you can log in
That's
and
true.
say hi to all your friends.
Perfect. So make sure, as Nathan said, to visit the website, playsomevideogames.com, and check out the reviews, news, and all of the highlights from E3 this week. You can email us at podcast@playsomevideogames.com. Find us on Twitter at PSVG. Like and follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/playsomevideogames, and youtube.com/playsomevideogames.
I think it's worth noting before we
Yes.
end the show that here for Central people, it's midnight. It's after midnight.
It is.
So if you're wondering why we're toned down a little bit, that's probably the reason why.
You know, I have to work in the morning. No big deal. It's fine.
I've been up for, I don't know, 20 hours. It's okay.
So, all right, folks. Again, thanks for being here. We really appreciate you. And if there's anything we can do to help make your experience better, let us know. But in the meantime, never stop gaming.